Number 3 Morse is not actually measured in degrees. It's 0.6024 inches per foot. The largest diameter on the number 3 is 0.938 of an inch. So you machine your part down to 0.938, and then you run your taper at 0.6024 per foot. Welcome back, fellow shop rats. Today we're back on the Cincinnati lathe. We're going to start looking at the taper attachment that this lathe has, check its functionality, stuff like that. Many of you commented in the recent video where I made this Morse taper, why didn't you use your taper attachment? Well, I'm going to explain why. Stick around. I'm Mike, and you're watching My Car Shop. First thing I need to do is get this machine cleaned up. When I finished this Morse taper, I was out of time. I had to tear out of here, and I haven't actually been back over in the machine shop since then. So I want to get this all cleaned up, and then we're going to get into checking the functionality of this part of the machine, etc., etc., etc. Okay, that cleaned up pretty good. We really have a lot of de-rusting to do, but that's not today's project. So the taper attachment. When I made the Morse taper, several of you commented, as I mentioned, why didn't you use your taper attachment on your lathe? Remember, my approach to things is very systematic. I approach things from the point of addressing systems. So when we did the lathe, the first thing we did was get the electrical system functioning so the machine would turn on. Then we had to deal with the hydraulic drive system, okay? So we got the lathe functioning, and we've been using it for little things here and there, putting it through its paces to discover if it has issues or not. The taper attachment, I haven't looked at yet. That's a separate system in my mind. We also have our lubrication system here that we haven't looked at. Matter of fact, I'm noticing that we're missing the little flex head, so we got to come up with something for that. But so when I wanted to make the Morse taper, I considered going ahead and getting that system on this machine done. And I realized a lot of guys have lathes like I do over there that doesn't have that attachment. And it doesn't have to limit you if you have a compound slide on your lathe. You can make tapers without having the special equipment. That just makes it easier. You don't have to have this, but it helps. Some might say, well, it's a simple mechanical system, get it working. Well, I'm going to, but I don't know if things are seized up, if I don't know its accuracy. I don't know anything about it, okay? We haven't looked at that part of this machine before. So when I wanted to make this taper, which I still haven't gotten back to making my live center, I'm going to soon. I've got some bearings around here, and I've been on the hunt for quite a while to find them. So I thought about it, and I realized, okay, this is good for a guy who has a much smaller machine, but he does have the compound attachment on his machine, a compound slide on his machine. Slide, is that the right word? For some reason, that doesn't feel right. But anyway, you know what I'm talking about. And I thought, let's just go ahead and do it. Let's make it. You don't have to have that, like I said. So today we're going to start looking at it, getting it cleaned up a little bit, chetting. We're going to chet its form. We're going to check its function and stuff like that. So let me kind of explain how it works, and then we'll start getting into it. Not like QuickBooks, just into it. There's always a method to my madness and why I do things. I just don't always explain it. Okay, so here is our readout on the degrees of taper, and this is the adjustment for that. To set the degrees of taper, we have two units here that you tighten down so you can lock it down. So we're going to loosen those up. We're going to crank this thing way over. And we got all kinds of chips back in there. That's going to be a problem. We have to get those cleaned out, because that's probably going to hit our indicator here. Anyway, and just see if this moves, and we'll crank it all the way to its full degrees, and then we're going to move the machine back and forth to see if it will, if everything's functioning, that mechanically there's nothing wrong with it down in there. Okay, I took a blow gun and I blew that out. You can see something caught this right here. So I'm going to take my little soft face and just try to get that back in there where it belongs. That will affect accuracy, believe it or not. Very good. Nice and straight. A little bit right there. Good. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. It looks like it's got a little bit of whoop right there. I'm barely tapping this, all right? So I know some guys see me get a hammer and they go ballistic. Relax, it'll be all right. Okay, I can read it good. Yeah, this is set to like 20 degrees. I can't remember which way it's set. So I'm going to leave it there for now, and we're going to engage our cross slide drive, and we're going to see if it is actually moving this at an angle or not. Because there could be something mechanically wrong with this. We don't know. We've never used it before. So, you know, that's an issue, and we got to get a tissue. For those that don't know, who've not been around before, there's right there. We run this machine on 483 phase, but we're running it off of single phase 220. So my buddy Chris is pretty smart with this stuff. He got a 220. He's got two 110 to 480 transformers down here hooked together to run it up to 480 single phase. And then that comes into this controller, which runs that 480 single phase up to 650 DC, and then splits it back out into true 480 three-phase power. So we're not using one of those cheaters. We're truly generating, I think, 30 amps 480 three-phase. The mill, we're running from 110 to 480. In the same fashion, we're only using one transformer, and that only gives us like 10 or 12 amps, I believe. So anyway, I'd like to say if you're new here, that's the way we're running these machines. Probably the only shop in the whole area out here in the country that has 483 phase, which I'm proud of, so I keep talking about it, and you just have to put up with it. Anyway, so that's up. Let's fire our controller up. Turn that on first, and start. Okay. Make sure our machine's down, and I'll get you over here as we run this, and we'll see how it's going. I'm going to put the cross slide drive into high gear so it's not super slow. That way we'll be able to see how it goes. It's going to take a while for this to spin up. As the motor spins up, the pump spins up, all of a sudden we'll hear squoop hydraulically, and this thing's ready to rock and roll all night and party every day. The ramp up time in the controller to get the motor up to speed is a little slow, but I'm okay with that. As old as this machine is, I actually like it not being an instant whoom, but kind of just building up and giving it a chance to get all of its juices flowing. So I'm going to run it up probably about 500. There we go. Okay, that's good. Okay, it's fully engaged. So I need to go over and adjust my speeds over here because our spindle speed is pretty slow right now. And then let's see where we're at here. Nope, I don't have it engaged. Got to remember how to do it. I'll be right back. Okay, that's good. Our feeds are working. The feed on this is working fine. And of course, to do a taper, we have to do both because it's not just about this. All this does is move things in, right? So we have to be pulling that way as well. So here we go. You can see that this is moving. So our mechanism under here is attached properly. Everything does seem to be working fine. So what it's doing right now is it is pulling a taper like this. If we want to go the opposite way, which we'll do here, we will adjust that the other way, all the way to 20 degrees, and make sure that it starts moving back the other way as well. So in this case, as we're moving out, it'll be pulling this way. So we would be pulling a taper from in here, this direction. So let's get that done. So that you can hear me, I turned the motor off for now. Well, I thought it was 9/6 or 5/8. I guess it's 11/16. I'll be back. Okay, there we go. It's metric. It's 17 millimeter. Oof, get a bunch of dirt in there. We got to clean that out. Okay, let me blow that out real quick. Right in my face. That was perfect. Yes, it's got another dial down here as well, so you can read it from either direction. But in order to move this, we loosen these two, and then we, let's see. Okay, there we go. I was turning it the wrong way. You know, having this machine against the wall is not always real convenient, but whew, man, let me get some, move this back and get a little cleanup done down here. It's get some lube on those threads and so forth. Okay, we've got it all the way to 20 degrees the other way, so when we fire this back up again, it should now move the opposite direction of what I think we were tapering this way. Now it should be coming this way. I'm just going to move this back up here. And again, we're going to watch it here. We should be seeing this unit. I've got to get the surface shield on this thing. I haven't done that yet. I really need to go through and clean all of this up a little bit better, but for now it's working. We need to adjust the ways and everything. I haven't gotten all that done yet. I'm focused more on the mill than I have this. We just got this running, so really haven't spent much time on it yet. Really, you want to take this apart back here and get it cleaned up as well, but right now I'm just checking its function. So okay, here we go. The handles could be a little tighter. They don't want to stay up, but you can see now as we're pulling out, this is moving this direction. I'll give you a reference point so you can see what I mean. Working good. There we go. I did a lot of the rough cutting off camera, but I wanted you to see, you know, what a nice job you can do. And obviously, that's not the right degree for a Morse taper. So I need to check the accuracy, make sure where we're at and all that. I'm not going to do that now, but I wanted to make sure everything was functioning properly. It seems to be at the last here. It did catch a little bit. I'm not sure what happened, but I could when I released the auto drive on it. It definitely kind of a little bit. I don't know how to describe it. Had me concerned for just a split second, but it did release. So I'm going to have to keep an eye on that. But overall, I think it's working good. Obviously, I'm not making anything here at all. This is just a piece of scrap just for testing purposes. But it's a nice finish. I put it on slow drive, of course. But So there's a couple different ways you can make these tapers. As we demonstrated in our last episode, you can use a compound slide to make them. By adjusting this to its proper angle, you can make this without using the taper attachment. So if you have a lathe, like the old Powercraft, it doesn't have that feature built into it. As long as you have the compound slide attachment, you can make tapers on a simple machine like this. You can make it on something from Hobo Freight, as long as you have that compound slide attachment, because it gives you triple access. So you have access this way, and access, not access, and access this way, and then of course this one, when it's turned way in, also gives you an access like this. So it's pretty cool. So I wanted to demonstrate both techniques, but like I said, on this machine last time when I made that, I hadn't checked all of this out. I need to check its accuracy here. I think Chris maybe has the proper equipment to do that, so the next time he comes, we'll go through checking the accuracy, see if we need to do any tweaking or calibration on this thing. I'm not looking for it to be within microns, but I want to be sure that if I set this at 10 degrees, it's not cutting it at 12 degrees. I just need to know where it's at. So there you go. Okay, for a little math, just to explain a few things, and then we'll go back over to the machine. A number 3 Morse is not actually measured in degrees, okay? I know that, but it's 0.6024 inches per foot. The largest diameter on the number 3 is just under an inch. Boy, if I wouldn't stutter, at 0.938 of an inch. So you machine your part down to 0.938, and then you run your taper at 0.6024 per foot. What that equates to roughly is about 3 degrees, just a little under 3 degrees. They call it 3 degrees included, which means because your taper is this way, so this angle here, I believe, is actually 1.5 degrees, but because the overall, both sides being 1.5, your overall taper is 3 degrees. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. That's my feeble understanding. But let's go over to this taper attachment, because I want to show you a couple things about this specific one that I've learned in the process of cleaning it up a little bit and working with it. So this is set right now to just under 3 degrees. Let's bring it back to just over 3 degrees, I should say. Let's get her right at 3, just a little bit under, okay? Now, how do we know that we are at our 0.6 blah, blah, blah? We don't, because this doesn't give us inches per foot. However, it actually does, because if we go around to the other side, over here, this side of the machine, right there, gives us that number in inches per foot. So this is a beautiful attachment because it has both, and you can double check yourself. So we're 3 degrees included, and we are at 0.6-ish. I don't know the exact, I haven't done the ticks to figure out exactly what those increments are, but I will do that at some point. But that tells you we're right in the ballpark if we were going to do another Morse taper. Obviously, this was just an extreme taper for demonstration purposes. It's not for anything at all. It was just me mucking around with the machine, getting familiar with everything, and making sure that everything kind of works as it's designed to work. So yeah, that's pretty good. Now I'm going to clean this machine up real quick and talk about one other thing. You'll notice one thing is different about me right now than it was. I caught myself on this one. I forgot to tuck my hair up under my hat and go in to ask him why. Big no-no. I need to put a sign up here that says, "Tuck in your hair, dummy." Maybe even more strongly than that. I wasn't doing any of this stuff. The reason I thought of it was because the machine wasn't on, but as I was looking and discovered it had the reed on this end for it, I cleaned it up and I was leaning over and my hair was right in here. The machine wasn't even electrically turned on, much less mechanically turned on. But I realized, oh yeah, you got to cut that crap, or not cut it. I didn't say that. You've got to definitely tuck that hair up. It's a safety issue for sure. So I need to put a sign right on this controller that says hair under hat or something. That's important. Safety first, right? So I wasn't anywhere near into it as I was working on it. Obviously, I was way back here, but as a matter of principle, safety first. Can't say that enough. So there you go. A quick lesson in how the taper attachment works, determining the angles, what Morse taper's actual dimensions are, etc., etc. I said in the last episode when we cut that one, I was going to go into it more, and I wanted to do that today when we were exploring how this thing actually works and whether or not it works properly. I do need to get in here and disassemble this as much as possible and get it cleaned up. It's on my list of 10 million other things I need to be accomplishing. We will get to that at some point. All right, that's going to do it for this one. I appreciate you spending some time here in the shop with me as usual. Like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. There's merchandise down there in the comments over at the Schultz Sign Company Etsy store. Cindy assured me that she now has shirts available up to 4X. They are special orders, so it will take a little bit longer than normal to get those, but they're there. Also, we have channel memberships for as little as $5 a month. You have access to all kinds of behind-the-scenes content that never sees the public, as well as early releases. When I drop an episode, put it up in the queue, I don't do it on everyone, but specific hand-chosen ones, specific ones that I choose, I do give the members early access to, so they see them literally almost the same day the work happened. I don't always get my episodes edited and uploaded, but I try to do that. So that's going to do it. We'll catch you on the next one. And don't forget around here, because it is the most important thing.